Hey, welcome to GameLayer,
Alive.
where we explore the science of play and the quest of learning.
A grand finale for Season 1 of
GameLayer.
GameLayer, which uses a card game, the series of path cards, that recorded short, high-signal interviews on-site at GamerCon in NOLA, New Orleans, Louisiana. The compact series, daily micro-episodes.
I'd like to move to the domain of play.
All right, I have another guest on the show. Thank you for walking by and agreeing to spend some time. You can not introduce yourself, or you can go ahead and introduce.
Oh, of course. My name's Aaron Huffman, and I just happened to be walking by, getting ready to leave, and I was gently accosted by some people here by to have a little conversation with you. And I'm always up to chat about learning and gaming and all that.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Aaron. So I see that you selected the creative process card, and you want to talk about building and design. Why do you think those cards jumped out at you?
I think those jump out at me. So I've been doing this kind of work for a long time. So when I started right out of college, I went to McGraw-Hill and I was an editor and the pedagogy side of thing and teaching things for kids sort of created a building block for me. But then when I branched out to adult learning, the first place I went was a small tech company in Dublin, Ohio called Accelerate Media. And we focused on, creating games and e-learning that's interesting and different and, taking just the boring glorified PowerPoints and turning it into something that people could use and would enjoy and would be memorable. So what that taught me with a focus on sort of my process is we were forced, because we were such a small company, that's how we stood out, right?
Okay.
Is coming up with the ideas that were interesting, pitching those ideas to people to get their buy-in for that.
Yeah.
And then from there, okay, figuring out how do we build that thing we just told them that we would make for them. And so for me, I really spent a lot of time, so many hours over the years, just sitting down, thinking about, how do I build the perfect outline of content to show these people that, okay, here's my idea, here's how I think it's going to translate. And then from there, I can start building the actual pieces bit by bit, testing it, iterating it as we need to. But it all starts for me with pitching that idea, right? Getting that idea in your head of like, this is what we're going to do, be passionate about that. And then, yeah, I've got a structure that's going to actually work.
That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. So what's one moment where a learning goal sparked that creative aha for your design? Is there any response you have to that?
I do. So after leaving that small tech company, I worked for a more corporate environment. And, we have a compliance curriculum that everybody has to take every year. And it's the same courses every year. There's a dozen or so of them. And we were trying to think of like, man, how could we take this and make it more interesting? How could we take something that they have to do, but take it up a level to something where it's not such a chore and maybe it's a little bit more memorable. Maybe it's something that, gives them something out of it. And I was sitting with my boss at the time. We were just kicking around some ideas of like, maybe we make some videos, maybe we do this, maybe we do that. And I was like, the things that I remember most from school or from growing up, whether it's like a subject we had to learn or just something that I did that I enjoyed, was games. I'm a gamer, whether that is, board games, card games, that kind of thing. But I also very much love video games and had this dream that someday I might be like a video game developer. That didn't happen. I don't think it's going to. It's probably over for me, but that's okay. But I could, do that in like storyline, for example.
Sure, definitely.
I'll say I love storyline. It could be as simple as you want, or it can be as complex as you want. It's just your time and your interest is the limit on that. And so I said to my manager, I was like, well, let's make gamified e-learning for our recurrent learners.
Could you share a specific example of when you realized that, when you used storyline to create a game mechanic in a learning environment?
Yeah. So right before that conversation, I was playing around with storyline, and I have a younger son. He was 12 at the time, and he was also super interested in games. And I was trying to show him, like, we could do something like that. And so he and I had built this sort of really basic escape room type game in storyline. And the aha moment was I was doing that, and I was like, holy crap, it works, right?
Yeah.
Like I found this like way where you just find this little key that's in this little area, and that unlocks this next piece. And I was making like your inventory of where you could see what you got. And I was like, storyline can do this, and I can make something that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I love that. Do you have any advice that you would give to a team that they could just implement this next week?
Next week.
Or a small ritual that they could add to their process where it's more comfortable to be using storyline in this way?
Well, I think, I mentioned storyline can do kind of as much or as little as you want it to do.
Okay.
And, I happen to have the time and the leeway to sort of teach myself how to use it. And there's such a great community out there of stuff where
Right.
if there's anything you want to build, somebody's probably built something like it, right? And you can get a template and dig into that and see, okay, that looks cool. How did that work? So I don't know if I have an advice necessarily for like a super speedy version of that, but I think that, there's so much out there that you can get examples from. You don't have to create everything from scratch, right? You don't always have to constantly reinvent the wheel. You can find something that gives you an idea, right? You can find something that you can build off of. But I think that there's just so much out there that you can run with, and then you can make it your own.
So it's using that e-learning heroes blog, right? Just use that resource because the ideas are out there.
Specifically, e-learning heroes have their challenges, which I think is a perfect place to go look, and you can see right away. Like, I really wanted to find at one point, this actually happened, a safe. Like, how could I make a safe combination that I could crack and like could actually sit there and turn it? Yeah. And so I found one in an e-learning challenge. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, I can set it as a dial. That makes sense. And then I can set it where it's going, and I can solve it that way. So it was just I went on there for 15 minutes. I found a couple that were cool. And then sometimes you can download that story file and then manipulate it and realize that's not that difficult, right? Once you sort of understand conceptually how it works.
Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of GameLayer Alive. This is David Colmer reminding you to stay present and never postpone joy. You can find transcripts of the show at gamelayer.fm. GAMELAYER.fm. Theme music by Caleb Willits. Thanks for listening. Now go. Play.
I play chess.
I play Scrabble.
I play fauteuil.
I play everything.
Hide and seek with my kids.
I play the piano.
I play board games.
I play guitar.
I smash it on the pitch.
I play chess.
I play Othello.
I play all the Marios.
I play Success Strategist.
I play Street Fighter.
Final Fantasy.
I play games of my own invention. Games of my own invention. Games of my own invention. Games of my own invention.
There are many ways to play. Going for a walk together, doing nothing together is also playing. Anything that can cultivate your feeling of joy, relaxation, where you feel more recharged after doing that thing, and I think you can consider as something that we play with. I'd like to move to the domain of play